Don Dahl is probably a player that most of you people have not ever heard of. He played for the Detroit Lions from 1949 to 1952. You probably never see him listed on any type of Hall of Fame ballot, and I couldn't even find any Hall of Fame ballot that he was listed on. So why would this guy of all people deserve consideration for the Hall of Fame? I'm going to talk about that in this video, because he wasn't just a solid Lion player, he was a solid football player in general. In this video, I am going to talk about his Lions career and his overall career. Don Dahl spent 6 seasons in the NFL, and he spent 4 seasons with the Lions. He played in 71 NFL games and 47 with the Lions. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, and he was a 3-time Pro Bowler with the Lions. Dahl was also on the 1952 championship team. He had 41 career interceptions, and 2 of them were run back for touchdowns, and both of those occurred during his time in Detroit. He had 26 interceptions with the Lions, and his 7 fumble recoveries were all when he was on the Lions. Talking a little more about his Detroit Lions tenure, his 26 interceptions rank 8th in Lions history. His 464 interception return yards rank 7th in Lions history. He had 7 fumble recoveries on the Lions and 33 total takeaways with the Lions. His 2 seasons with 10 or more interceptions are the most in Lions history. And for all intents and purposes, I don't think any Lion is ever going to break that record, because there's less great opportunities for interceptions in today's game than there were during Dahl's time. Dahl, when he was on the Lions, actually led the NFL in kick and interception return yards in 1949, and his 25.5 kick return average was 2nd in the NFL in that season. It's also worth noting that Dahl currently holds the Lions' rookie record with 11 interceptions in a season. So now I want to talk a little more about Dahl's overall tenure in the NFL. Dahl snatched 41 career interceptions. Of the 77 players in NFL history with 41 or more interceptions, Dahl played the fewest games. When Dahl retired, he retired 2nd all-time in interceptions and 5th in interception return yards. Another record that is probably unbreakable that Dahl holds is his 3 seasons with 10 or more interceptions. That's surprising to y'all, isn't it? It's not Night Train Lane that holds the record for most seasons with 10 or more interceptions, and it's not Paul Krause either. It is Don Dahl who holds that record. And like I said, it is probably unbreakable unless offensive coordinators start being as aggressive again as they were in the earlier days of football. It really probably is an unbreakable record. Some notable players with 2 10-plus interception seasons include Jack Christensen, Paul Krause, and Night Train Lane, but they all played more seasons than Dahl played in. Dahl averaged 0.68 interceptions per game. Some notable players that had more interceptions than Dahl in 10 or more games include Jack Christensen, who averaged 0.52 interceptions per game, Bobby Dillon, who averaged 0.55 interceptions per game, and Jack Butler, who averaged 0.5 interceptions per game. So could Dahl have actually climbed the interception leaderboard if he played more seasons? Probably. I mean, he averaged more interceptions per game than a pretty decent chunk of Hall of Fame caliber players right here. Now, there are a couple of things that work against Dahl when it comes to if he should or should not be a Hall of Famer. One is longevity, since he only played 6 seasons. Well, I pulled up some notable players that played 7 or less seasons and are in the Hall of Fame. Ernie Nevers only played 5 seasons in the NFL. He did retire as football's all-time leader in touchdowns, though. Cliff Battles played 6 seasons in the NFL. He did retire as the all-time leader in rushing yards and yards from scrimmage, though. Doak Walker only played 6 seasons in the NFL, and he only retired 14th in yards from scrimmage. No disrespect to Doak Walker at all, because I'll definitely be making a video about him eventually. Mac Speedy played 7 seasons in the NFL. He did retire top 2 all-time for most 1,000-yard receiving seasons with 2. So, I mean, there are players that didn't exactly have long careers and are in the Hall of Fame. There are players that are on the all-time team that didn't even play 10 years in the NFL. The other thing working against Dahl is that he never got selected to a first-team All-Pro. Well, some notable Hall of Famers that got into the Hall of Fame without a first-team All-Pro selection include Dick LeBeau, Isaac Bruce, and John Henry Johnson. Dahl's lack of Pro Bowl selections shouldn't really be relevant because he got selected to the Pro Bowl in 4 out of the 6 seasons he played. But some notable players that got into the Hall of Fame with less Pro Bowls include John Stallworth, Lynn Swann, and Art Monk. His longevity and no first-team All-Pro selections or lack of Pro Bowls have a point, but there are players definitely in the Hall of Fame with less impressive credentials. So, should Don Dahl be a Hall of Famer? I don't know. Does he at least deserve consideration? Well, yeah, he deserves consideration at the very least. I mean, there were players that made it onto the all-time team that didn't even play 10 seasons in the NFL. Dahl doesn't really have longevity on his side, but he's definitely got the numbers for it. And there's plenty of players in the Hall of Fame that played as few of seasons as Dahl played in. Dahl retired second all-time in interceptions, and he probably doesn't always get the respect that he should be due. He didn't retire first in anything, but I mean, second is not that far behind. And his 3 seasons with 10 or more interceptions have a very good chance of never being exceeded. So Dahl will probably never get into the Hall of Fame, and he'll probably never get consideration. But at the very least, I hope I was able to give him a little bit of spotlight. So what do you guys think? Should Dahl be a Hall of Famer or should he not be a Hall of Famer? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.